Have you noticed how many people have opinions about everything out there? Now, I know we're only supposed to talk about horses, but I know every one of you have seen it on your television, on your feeds, in your social media content. Everyone is trying to get your attention by telling you that there's something better, that something is more important than it really is. I coined a word a long time ago called complexicate. I'm sticking with it. I love the word. It just means that people try to make things more complicated than they really need to be in order to make themselves look more important. We see this in every advertisement out there. You have a problem, I have a solution, and my solution is better than everybody else's solution, and therefore you should hear what I have to say. It is a tried and true syntax of the marketing world. We do it in trying to court a date. We tell people tall stories, fishing trips. The fish that got away, you should have seen it. It was huge. So it's built into our DNA. And I have another word for it, which is a very classic word. It can be used in any company at any time, and that is called sophistry. Sophistry. And I'm going to read a definition of it right off the page here. Sophistry is the use of clever but false or misleading arguments, often to deceive or persuade. It prioritizes rhetorical appeal over truth, typically exploiting logical fallacies or emotional manipulation. Historically, it's linked to the sophists of ancient Greece who were skilled in persuasive rhetoric, but sometimes criticized for valuing persuasion over substance. It was a head turner when I heard this because it's been around since the Greek times. It's been around longer than that. In horses, we are told many, many stories. And as horse owners, we are left to weed through it, to try to determine what is real, what isn't real, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. So in science, the scientists, those who study, have looked at trying to make evidence, facts, support claims. And I've said this 100 times to all of you who've ever listened to me over time, but it's worth saying it again. For the longest time, when up until about 500 years ago, most people believed that the sun circled the earth. And I know that I could be very persuasive and sit with you day after day for weeks on end, proving to you that the sun is going to come up there and go over your head and set over there on the other side of the planet. And at surface value, that all makes sense. And it's what we all believed. But then a scientist came by and he looked at the facts. He asked, why do the daylight or the amount of light during a day change over a year, over a season? Why do the daylight changes occur differently depending on where you are on the earth? So we have time zones. We all understand time zones, but we also know that north and south makes a big difference too. So I live here in South Florida, and somebody who lives in Maine or Massachusetts, Boston, or New York, they're seeing the sunset at, let's say, 6 p.m. And the sun is moving across the earth and won't set till 7 p.m. in my area of the world, and we're still in the same time zone. That's how wide apart Florida is from New York. So as the facts became clear, the theory was changed. And I always love quoting Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He wrote the Sherlock Holmes series, and he said it is a capital mistake to twist facts to fit theories instead of theories to fit facts. And that is a quote that is just at the heart of what's wrong with the scientific community or the pseudoscientific community, marketing for sure, where facts are twisted to fit a theory. And once the facts become evidence, irrefutable, meaning it works here and there and everywhere for everybody, then we know that the theory is substantiated. So we have theory of gravity, we have theory of thermodynamics, which explains that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only changes form, or entropy, which is the constant application of energy to provide movement so we don't go back to a zero state. And now, before you turn me off and hit that button to find a new podcast, bear with me, because it's something that's very important to us horse people that we're being marketed to. We are marketed by feed companies, by supplement companies, by veterinarians, by farriers, by equine dentists, by everybody out there. We are being told this, and we're applying it to our horses, and we don't see that happening. We don't see that cause and effect, or maybe we do see something happen, but we aren't sure if it's because of that, or it could be a change of seasons and the flies are gone, so the skin looks better. It's very, very hard to associate a cause to an effect. We have correlations, and the correlations are we're seeing the sun come up in the east and set in the west. And so the correlation is it's going to rise in the east every time and must be circling around the earth until somebody asks the more important questions and we get substantive facts. Now, here's the problem. When it comes to auto mechanics or airline mechanics or anything mechanical where we're using basic principles, nuclear fission, for instance, we can predict certain things. We can predict the distance between point A and point B over a long distance to include the curvature of the earth. So we know exactly what that distance is, not just on a flat map. I mean, there are so many things out there that can be accurately measured. But when it comes to living things, measurements are almost impossible. Almost impossible because the individual variation. When you think just for a second that one horse or one human is made up of trillions of cells, each cell is an independent organism glued together, tied together, working together through hormones, through nerves, through experiences, a brain. We've got so many variables. And on top of that, for most of you, you know this already, but if this is new to you, please bear with me. We're current now with science, and we know that there are microorganisms built into the cell called the mitochondria. They have their own DNA. They reproduce on their own. When more is needed, they multiply to give us more battery power inside each cell. So they have a say, and they have a communication system between all the mitochondria that goes past the cell. And then we have the bacteria that are living inside our gut, in our hair, in our armpits, in our lungs that we're breathing in and out, in our mouth, everywhere. We are loaded with microorganisms. So when you see me on this video, or you look at your friend, or you even look at yourself in the mirror, you're not seeing one human. You're not looking at one horse in the stall. You're looking at a collection of almost uncountable individual entities that are working together. And we can even add on top of that other, I won't call them living, but almost living things that are trying to affect us. We have viruses, fungi. We have parasites that are trying to invade, trying to be part of our body, bacteria that don't belong in us, that are trying to invade us. I just had to take down a whole section of trees on my property because somehow that section got weakened and an opportunistic fungus came in and destroyed the trees, killed them. And it's common. And it says it's either a drought or too much water or a wound to a tree that allowed this fungus to get in there, set up shop, and kill the tree. Because the fungus likes to live on dead matter. So the fungus is always trying to live, and it's happening to you and I right now. We have increasing and decreasing daylight. We have people live near the North Pole or South Pole where they don't get a lot of light. We have people live on the equator that we have so much light, they don't know what to do with it. We have people live in deserts, people live in the water practically. We have so many variables. Add on top of that, we have a genetic code that's just huge. And it makes us Asians, Africans, South Americans, Latinos, Mediterraneans, Northern Europeans, everything in between. It makes you different than your neighbor or me living in this country. But yet you look at me and you say, I see 2 eyes, a nose with 2 nostrils, a mouth, 2 ears, hair on the top of my head, a neck, 2 arms and hands. And then you look at your horse and you say, it also has 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, a mouth. It's got 2 front legs. And if you look at the bone structure, they're almost identical. And they've got a heart, lungs, a spleen, intestines, stomach, just like you and me. They don't have a gallbladder. So that's interesting. Why don't they have a gallbladder? It's because they decided they didn't need one. They have more teeth than I do. They chew food that's different than me. If I go out there and start eating grass, it's not going to work out very well. Most of us see our dogs who are not feeling well. They go out and start eating grass to cause them to throw up. Horses, they just love grass. They don't throw up with it. We're all different, yet we're so similar. And we're all living in this world, trying to exist, trying to make energy through food. And then somebody comes along and tries to lay down the law. All horses need this. All horses do that. In dentistry, which is where my home is, I've learned to apply what I know over 84,000 horses. That's a lot of times I've applied things. And now I'm starting to realize that this correlation is closer to causation. When I do this, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get that almost every time. I can predict it pretty well because I've done it so many times. But we still don't know the cause of EOTRH in horses. The rotting of the front teeth. Is it a problem with the bone underlying it, or is it the teeth that are struggling to maintain themselves in a hostile environment? One person thinks it's an autoimmune disease. If that's the case, it could be the lectins that are in the plant materials, the hulls that we're feeding in our feeds, our processed foods. Another group of people think that it's a bacterial infection that suddenly came around and it's invaded and is causing the problem. Third possibility is there's something going on that's a combination of both that's allowing the bacteria to grow. We don't know. Nobody's willing to put the time into it because of so many things. Number one being money. Who's got the money to invest in horse research? Nobody, unless, of course, you have a product you want to sell. And this is where we fall flat on our face when it comes to science in horses. We rely on men and women who are either working for a company, or they're working in a university setting, or they're working for a supplement company where they are trying to fit the facts into the theories. They come up with a hypothesis. And in science, when a hypothesis is, for instance, the sun circles the earth, and we set out to disprove that. And in the act of disproving it, we come up with new theories, like maybe the earth is circling the sun. So we will look for more answers. And when that doesn't work, now we put a spin to our earth, and we say the earth is spinning around a sun. And now we have a theory that's fitting the facts. And in horses, we don't have the ability to change or to even know what the facts are. We have theories, and we suppose through correlations that because we're feeding this supplement or this ingredient, we're going to get that coming out. And we forget that nature, by definition, is very efficient. It always looks for the least amount of effort to make something happen. It's beautiful. Just, when an acorn is let go from a tree, it falls to the earth. That's its job. It's not supposed to fly away. It's supposed to land on the ground and turn into a seedling. But we have the black walnut that drops a chemical. And that chemical drops on the ground, and its purpose is to kill all other competing species that are trying to grow next to it and allow its saplings or seedlings to grow. And they thought for a while that was the cause of black walnut shavings, laminitis in horses. We did the research at Cornell when I was a student. Turns out that wasn't the cause. But there are so many factors that we have to look at. I don't want to be too negative here, but sophistry is the illusion that people have of creating smoke and mirrors to twist the facts to make their theory look like it's real. In dentistry, we're told that we have to immobilize a horse, use a light source, jack the mouth open, look for all these things, and identify these pathologies. Okay, fine. Then what's the next step? Well, we're supposed to treat the pathology. Okay, how many studies have been done that treat the pathology this way or that way? Or a third way of not treating it but following through? Where are the studies that say, let's change the diet? Or even a retroactive study where we look back and get accurate records of what these horses have eaten over the years. Because a lot of the pathology doesn't show up till they're 10 to 20 years old. Same with insulin resistance or Cushing's disease. We come up with these things that are wrong, a blood value, let's say, or a postmortem finding. And we say, oh, well, it's caused by. Well, is it truly caused by? Because if we really wanted to prove that, we would take a quote unquote normal horse and apply what we think is a causative agent and see if that disease develops. This sounds really crass, but if we were trying to figure out if a bullet actually killed people, how many bullets would we need? How many people would we need in the study to shoot before we realize that bullets kill people? I mean, that's a no-brainer. Oh, that of course you're going to say, well, it depends on how far away the gun was when the bullet was shot, what kind of caliber, where it hit the person. We have all these factors that maybe the bullet doesn't kill the person. So do all bullets kill people? Well, no, there's a ton of factors, but we don't need a lot of studying to figure this out. But when it comes to this food or this supplement, how many horses do we have to actually look at before we say we have enough here to show? Is it 1,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 84,000 horses that I performed dentistry on to say, oh, look, there seems to be an association between these two? It's not proven. We can't actually say this causes that. But we can say, in my experience over 43 years and 84,000 horses, I've seen this action produce this result. And I'll feel pretty comfortable. Why? Because no one has the money or the time or the desire to find 80,000 horses and divide them into groups and make sure there's no bias, such as geldings versus stallions, because most horses are gelded, or, make sure that it's male versus female, equal numbers, or that the age group is representative of all ages, or maybe just a particular section. Because if we do dentistry on this 3-year-old, it's going to be different than if we do it on this 30-year-old. Completely different dentistry that has to be done. So you can't do the same study on both of those. There are so many factors, and everybody is trying to come out and say, my way is the right way, and you need to hire me or buy this product that I'm making or subscribe to this theory if you want to be a friend of mine. Otherwise, you can't use my services. I see that all the time. If you're not going to use motorized tools, I'm not going to give you any other veterinary care. If you're going to use that guy, use hand floats. How ridiculous. There is so much division and actual hatred between people today in every walk of life for every reason out there. And for some reason, it comes into the horse world. Oh, I only do reining. Those people who do dressage, those women are just nuts. The women in the dressage community says, I don't want no stinking cowboy riding my horse, And yet somebody wears a cowboy hat and they think that that person might know something more about horses, or their truck is really shiny and flashy. They may know more about farrier work or veterinary work. The bottom line is sophistry does not work well with integrity. And I've talked about integrity so many times. And now that we're at the close of 2025 and we're working into 2026 at the time of this recording, we have to come to grips with these two words. Each person working with a horse or selling something has to ask themselves, do I have the highest integrity? Am I being 100% honest? Am I not twisting the facts? Or am I just creating smoke and mirrors? I'm creating a thought process that really is not substantiated by the truth. And I'm going to tell you right now, from my position, Doc T's position, there's no way around it. There really is no way around it. You either are there for the horse or you're not. It's that simple. So in 2026, you'll hear this common theme coming from me. If it's not in the best interest of the horse, why are we doing it? And it's going to really upset a lot of people. It's not going to make friends with my colleagues in veterinary medicine, my colleagues who do dentistry. But I have to tell you, at least you're out there doing something, because the person who doesn't do anything really isn't helping the horse, because we've invited the horse into our human world. So if somebody comes out and says, I only believe in doing this, for instance, power floating or injecting joints or this supplement, or a feed company says, we're the best feed and this is the reason why you should use it. Not all of them are helping the horse to 100%, but most of them are helping. For instance, if your horse is 30 plus years old, is missing half its teeth, feed senior feed. Go out and find grain. It's losing weight, feed anything you can, right? If you are in the middle of nowhere and the only dentist you have does power tools, get the teeth done, right? Have a conversation with your veterinarian or the dentist and say, look, this is what I really would like. Can we reach a compromise? Let's try and do what we can for the horse. I get it. Not everyone's going to follow my footsteps. I'm certainly not going to follow in the footsteps of other people whose beliefs are to automatically drug a horse or twitch it to do anything to it because it's an inanimate object. I go to so many barns where horses are treated like RVs parked in a garage. And I'm there just to, balance the tires or do wheel alignment or whatever else you want to call dentistry. Then I have others who are so grateful. Those are the people I have to look at. Every horse I have to look at who says, thank you. Thank you for taking care of that problem with me. I don't care if the person likes what I do or not. It's between me and the horse. So this podcast is to set the stage for 2026 and for all future communications from me. There are thousands and thousands of different ways of doing things for horses. And all you need to do is ask yourself this question. Is what we're doing in the best interest of the horse? And step back and ask yourself, should I do this or should I do something else? Don't force yourself to do something when there's a little voice inside of you screaming, saying, no, the horse really isn't going to benefit from this. The horse is eating everything in front of him, has no worries. You can feed it anything. Should you be taking all the front teeth out? That's a great example. If your horse is having trouble with the digestion and it has the squirts or has these gastric or colonic ulcers and is having difficulty shipping, is feeding that competitive grain the best thing? If feeding a processed food, they're telling us as humans to stop eating processed foods, and you've bought into that, well, then don't feed processed foods to your horses because the arguments are still the same. Why are you doing both of those? Or why are you doing for you and not for your horse? So the Horse's Advocate is about a voice of reason. And those of you who come to community.thehorsesadvocate.com will learn about it. It is a social media platform built specifically for private groups. We have lessons in there. I've got courses in my mind that I want to get in there. I already have 4 courses. I'd like to have 5, 6, 7, 8 more courses where people can come and interact on their own and learn what I have to offer. And so you have to give your email and a password. You have to Facebook or X or Instagram. You have to do that. So that shouldn't be a hard hurdle for any of you to do. And there you can have all this information for free. If you become a member of Doc T's Inner Circle, you can have more interaction with me. You can learn all these courses. It's included. It's really worth the effort, the time that you put into it, the money that you put into it, become a member, and I'm grateful. I meet every other Thursday at 8 p.m. New York, Miami time, Eastern time, United States, and I answer people's questions the best I can. But I will tell you, all my questions are going to be based on stop. Let's look back at the root cause. Let's find out if what somebody is saying is really at the best interest of the horse. And that's how it's always going to be here at the Horse Advocate. After 53 years of working with horses, it's the one thing that keeps coming through. Where's the integrity? You must have integrity. Integrity is all you have. At the end of the day, when you lay your head on the pillow, at the last day you breathe on this earth, integrity is all you have. And that's what we're going to push forward at the Horse Advocate, is integrity. And I hope people enjoy me. And, if you're listening to this and you don't believe in some of the stuff I say, that's fine. I'm not asking you to buy in. There's nothing here that you have to take home. There's suggestions based on time, correlation over time, over thousands, tens of thousands of horses. And if you can disprove it and you have something else, it's a wide open forum. Please bring it here and talk to us about it and see what we've got to say. Because I'm willing to change my mind. If there's something out there better. If somebody says, hey, we just discovered what causes the rotting of the front teeth in horses, and we've proven it, fine. I'm all ears. I'd love to hear it. Anyway, this is Doc T. I appreciate you coming to me this holiday season. Today is actually Christmas, December 25th, and I'm recording this. And it's a very quiet day for me, a time of reflection, and a time of me trying to figure out what my purpose is as we move into New Year's Eve next week. And we might have, I will have another podcast where we go into what we can do individually to make sure that we're heading in the right direction. So thank you for joining me at the Horses Advocate. If you haven't become a member, please do. It's free. If you invest your time and money into actually learning or listening to what I have to say, I'm be so grateful, and even more grateful if you pass on community.thehorsesadvocate.com to everybody. That would just be so helpful. So let's all get together in the upcoming year and help horses thrive in a human world. Thanks. Thank you so much for commenting or giving a thumbs up or liking this content. I'm so grateful. This does two things. First, it tells me that I'm reaching the people, that's you, horse owners, who are trying to make their horses' lives better. And if not, how I can shape it so I can make the message clearer. The feedback is really important, so please don't hesitate to do that. And share these things. The more you share them, the more the message will get out throughout the world. So again, I'm so grateful. This is Doc T for you helping horses thrive in a human world.